When Doug Conant arrived at the Campbell Soup in 2001, the company had the worst employee engagement scores in the Fortune 500. Not the worst in the food industry, the worst in all of corporate America. Stock had lost more than half of its value. The brand was stagnant. The culture was poisoned. What Conant did next, including writing 30,000 handwritten notes to individual employees over his tenure, is the most underrated turnaround story of the 2000s. Hello, my name is Todd Hagopian, the original Stagnation Assassin, the author of The Unfair Advantage and The Stagnation Assassin on Amazon. But today we're pulling the leadership profile on Doug Conant, CEO of Campbell Soup Company from 2001 to 2011, and specifically the operational management interventions that converted the worst employee engagement in the Fortune 500 into one of the most celebrated transformations. But this isn't a tribute, this is a forensic audit. So let's see what he actually did. The leadership stagnation score at Campbell Soup in 2001 was 9 out of 10 on the corporate cancer scale. The disease was cultural toxicity. Years of cost cutting, leadership turnover, strategic confusion had produced an organization where employees had stopped trusting management and management had stopped investing in employees. In that environment, every operational initiative fails at the execution level because the people executing it are actively disengaged. Cultural toxicity is the organizational equivalent of organ rejection. Even healthy decisions can't take hold. So let's look at the forensic audit. What did Conant get right? The recognition architecture. Conant wrote 30,000 handwritten notes over his tenure, approximately 10 per day, to individual employees who had done something noteworthy. Not to senior leaders, to workers on the line, in the distribution centers, in the admin offices. The specificity and the personal nature of the recognition was the operational mechanism. You cannot fake 30,000 specific personal acknowledgments. Each one required Conant to know what the person had done, why it mattered, and how to express that in a way that the individual would recognize as genuine. Conant's formula: honest acknowledgement of a specific contribution, objective identification of what performance matters, and transparent valuation of the human behind the work. The leadership standard deployment. Conant required his senior leadership team to adopt specific behavioral standards, the Campbell leadership model, with rigorous 360-degree feedback and performance consequences for leaders who didn't meet them. He was explicit. Leaders who produced strong results but damaged their people were not succeeding. This two-dimensional accountability results and people is the operational mechanism that makes recognition culture financially sustainable rather than just emotionally satisfying. By the end of his tenure, Campbell's employee engagement scores had moved from worst in the Fortune 500 to among the highest in the food industry. The stock had recovered substantially, the brand had stabilized. The correlation between engagement score improvement and financial performance improvement is the data case for every operator who thinks culture is soft. Let's look at the murder board, though. What did Conant get wrong? Conant's model is heavily person dependent. The 30,000 notes are not a system, they are a practice that requires a specific leader with a specific commitment to maintain. When Conant left, the engagement scores began to decline again. The recognition architecture hadn't been fully institutionalized into management systems that could function without his personal daily discipline. The transformation also left Campbell strategically adrift on the portfolio question. The brand had stabilized, but the company hadn't resolved its position in a food market increasingly disrupted by health focused alternatives. Conant solved the cultural crisis. The strategic crisis, though, continued. The stagnation verdict here: 4 kills out of 5. Doug Conant is one of the most underrated turnaround CEOs of the 2000s, and the Campbell Soup engagement transformation is a documented case in the relationship between cultural health and financial performance. The succession dependency cost him a kill. Study Conant for the recognition architecture as an operational tool. Then build the system that sustains it after you leave. That's your forensic audit on Doug Conant and the Campbell Soup Company. Remember to grab The Unfair Advantage and Stagnation Assassin on Amazon. Visit toddhagopian.com for the world's largest stagnation database. I'm Todd Hagopian, and remember, the most underrated performance driver in any organization is whether people feel like what they do matters to someone in authority. Conant proved it 30,000 times.